Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Mitt Romney speaking before the NAACP in Houston. Was that a smart thing to do? That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. 2008, 95% of African-American voters supported Barack Obama, but this time around, Mitt Romney apparently thinks he can do better in those precincts. Right now, the black unemployment rate is 14.4%, as opposed to 12.7% when Mr. Obama took office. Unemployment for black youth is an astounding 39.3%. So it's obvious that the scenario for black American voters is much different than it was 4 years ago. Today, Governor Romney made that case.
I'm going to eliminate every non-essential, expensive program I can find. That includes Obamacare, and I'm going to work to reform and save. I know the president will say he's going to do those things, but he has not, he will not, he cannot, and his last 4 years in the White House prove it definitively.
All right, now there's no question Mitt Romney's a brave guy for going to the NAACP convention. He knew he would not be received well there, but he also knows that if he wins the election, he'll be president to all Americans, so his appearance is a positive in that regard. The problem is that most African Americans believe the Republican Party in general does not value them. And then there is the race factor vis-a-vis the president. That is a source of pride in the black community. Certainly some African American voters cast their ballots along color lines. That's true. But there's nothing anyone can do about voters who choose personal over policy, and that happens on both sides. The good news for Mr. Romney is that African Americans will not decide the presidential election this year. As many analysts believe, fewer of them will vote for Barack Obama this time around. Because of the bad economy and because the president has not actively supported black special interest groups, some blacks will walk away. By the way, Mr. Obama has largely kept his promise to be a colorblind president. A new Quinnipiac poll says 92% of African Americans currently supporting Barack Obama, while just 2% favor Mr. Romney. If that holds, the president will lose 3 percentage points of the African American vote this time around. But far more important to Mitt Romney is the woman vote. And we'll get to that in our next segment with Dick Morris. So summing up, Mitt Romney brave to go to the convention in Houston. Not going to change many hearts and minds. But the symbolism of him being there is a positive thing. By the way, President Obama is not going to the NAACP meeting himself. He is sending Vice President Biden. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction with us, Dr. Mark Lamont Hill, now the host of the Huffington Post Live deal on the Internet. All right, where am I going wrong here?
Everywhere. First of all, everywhere. First of all, Mitt Romney's not brave for going to the NAACP convention. He had to do it.
Why?
If he doesn't go, then he gets trashed in the press. He gets trashed by.
We got trashed there. He's going to get trashed in the press anyway. You're going to trash him right now.
I'm not trashing him. I do disagree with most of what he said, but I don't give him kudos for going.
Why?
My thing is go there and offer a positive message. He didn't seem statesmanly. He seemed bitterly partisan. There was no need to go after President Obama. Say what your message is. Say what your agenda is, and say what your vision is for black America. You don't have to beat up on President Obama. That's why he got booed.
Well, I mean, I think he told the truth. He's going to try to repeal Obamacare. You don't want to be patronized. You want the man to tell you the truth, right? Didn't you admire that candor?
I appreciated his candor.
Okay, good. That's number one. Number two, most of the governor's campaign is that he can regenerate the economy and Barack Obama cannot. That's his campaign.
Yeah, but as a strategic move going into the NAACP convention, beating up on the most popular president, and by the way, the first and only black president in American history.
Why should that matter? Why should it matter if Mitt Romney wants to talk economics, and certainly the economics say that the African American community is suffering more than the rest of America? Why can't he make those points there?
I think you can make the point without making it personal.
Why? Barack Obama's policies are hurting African Americans.
Look, I'm happy he did it that way because he's only alienated black voters further.
But I want to understand. Here, look. I'm trying to understand this.
Okay.
I'm an African American voter. All right. The economy is bad for me and worse for my people than it is for other people.
Right, as it always has been.
All right, but it's astoundingly bad for black youth. It has never been this bad, almost 40% unemployment. So
that's not true, but go ahead.
Yeah, it is. What are we talking? The Great Depression?
Black teenage unemployment in the Bush administration was also in double figures.
It wasn't double figures. This is 40%.
It was 38.5.
The point of the matter is that Mitt Romney brought his message, the same message that he brings to everybody, to the black community.
Right.
And you're telling me he should change the message because they're black. That sounds like it's some kind of race deal.
No, I'm not saying change the message.
Yes, you just did.
I'm saying change the delivery.
What delivery?
You can say, for example, he started a speech by saying, I got a phone call from President Obama congratulating me on the nomination and saying that he looked forward to having a vigorous debate and a respectful debate about the American people. President Obama has failed on that promise. That's an unnecessary comment. You could simply say the president's
what do you mean it's unnecessary?
Bill,
that's what these guys do. They both do it.
You're right, but I wouldn't do it in front of the person's core base. If I'm going to an NAACP convention and I know that people are going to boo me, as just as a matter of strategy, I would say something that would stop me from getting booed. I wouldn't compromise my principles.
You'd patronize them.
No, I would be.
You
honest.
wouldn't be truthful to them.
You can say I will repeal Obamacare. You can say I have a different vision of education reform. You can say I have a different vision of housing without beating up on the president or having people feel as if the president's being beaten up on.
All right.
You can do
I got your point. I don't agree with the point, because I think if you didn't do that, if you tailored your message because of color, which is basically what you're saying.
No, I'm saying
you're tailoring it because of color.
Based on audience.
What color is the audience?
No, but I'm not saying based on color. If it were the NRA, I would say tailor your message. If it were a workers' union, I'd say tailor your message.
All right,
don't compromise your principle, but don't.
So you're telling me that if President Obama speaks before a largely white audience, conservative audience, all right, say evangelicals, all right,
you shouldn't say don't cling to religion and guns.
So President Obama should not point out Mitt Romney's failings as a white politician.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if I were going to the Mormon church, I might make a different message than I would if I were going to people from Bain Capital. Here's the end of the game here. Here's the point at the end of the day. If you give up a speech and people are booing you, it probably wasn't an effective speach. You don't need a political science degree to know that. If people are booing you at the end of the day, you probably didn't do your job.
All right, but I don't
let's
know.
talk about the substance of the speech.
I don't know if anybody running against Barack Obama wasn't going to get booed in a situation if the person told the truth.
I disagree.
He opposes the president's policy.
Then talk about the policy.
He did.
But let's talk.
Said I'm going to repeal Obamacare.
But let's speak specifically about.
He did. He was very specific.
What I'm trying to do is usher you into a more substantive conversation right now, Mr. O'Reilly.
You're not seeing what really happened.
I did see. I saw the whole speech. I just disagree with you.
The audience can make up their own mind. What about black voters who vote on color? Do you respect that vote?
Do I respect the vote?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Absolutely.
All right. So if
I would hope that someone wouldn't vote.
The question is, do you respect a black voter?
I respect everybody's vote. It's a democracy.
I certainly don't.
Okay.
But you respect a black voter who votes for a candidate simply because that candidate is black. You respect that?
Apples to apples, yes. Now, I wouldn't want somebody to vote for Herman Cain just because he's black.
Would you respect a white voter who voted just because the person was white?
Apples to apples, absolutely.
You would.
Apples to apples, yes. This is what I'm saying.
So performance doesn't matter.
No, okay.
Character doesn't matter. You just vote skin color and you respect it.
Okay, that wouldn't be apples to apples. What I mean is, if I were walking to an election booth and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama were the candidates, essentially they're the same person, and someone decided they're going to vote for Barack Obama based on race, all things being the same, that's your choice.
I didn't say all things being the same.
But I said apples to apples.
Okay, but I'll ask you again.
Do
you respect a vote by either a black person or a white person based solely on skin color? Do you respect it?
No.
Thank you.
But the problem is you raised a hypothetical that was also
I didn't raise anything. I asked you a very straightforward question, and you tried to dance.
Bill, you said, if this happens, would you do that? That's called a hypothetical. That hypothetical, however, was counterfactual.
I said, do you respect the vote based solely on color? And you finally said, Doctor, no.
I don't think anybody does. But the issue here is that black people. But the thing here is that black people, and this is why I say it's counterfactual. Black people aren't voting for Barack Obama purely because he's black.
So 95% of African Americans voting for the Democratic Party.
Let me ask you a question.
Real quick.
If the tables were turned, if Herman Cain were running against, say, Joe Biden, do you think 95% of black people vote for Herman Cain?
No.
That means that black people are not voting purely on race. They're voting on other factors.
I didn't say purely. I just said this is an enormous factor.
You did not say an enormous factor. You're saying that now.
No. The question I asked you, just so everybody's clear.
Yeah.
Would you respect a vote based solely on skin color? Right. And it took you 3.5 minutes of bloviating to finally say no.
I was pushing back against the implication, which is that was what was happening, and it's not.
You ought to have me come speak to your class.
I would love for you to come speak.
And I'll get booed, but I'll still go, and I'll tell them the truth.